we have been presented with from our different stakeholders and the students, the community, regarding what they would like to see, and we know that that's been the Warriors. We've heard from people that the Warriors doesn't really change, doesn't really help. We got rid of the Indian, but the Warriors can be considered Indians as well, so we're hearing that. So my thought process is that some more education needs to be done before a decision is made. With that being said, if it's felt that Warriors is not going to be something that we're going to be looking at because of its warlike depiction of humans, I'm probably not quoting that correctly. Well, I have images, and if I'm the only one on the board up here that has it, that's fine. If we're going to look at a bird or an animal like Carquinus the panthers, I'm sorry, those are animals I'm afraid of. And I think of them eating people and mauling people, and if in contact with such animal. So I'm going to be the person that probably doesn't want the animal. Okay, so I'm coming up with, well, okay, what's not an Indian, what's not warrior, what's not an animal that can eat, or, you know, anyways, you heard me. At the end of the day, well, John Sweat. Who is John Sweat? John Sweat's the founder of education, the first superintendent of schools, and that's what our name of our high school is, John Sweat High School. Maybe it should be John Sweat Scholars. Maybe it should be John Sweat Educators. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm going to tell you, I listened to everyone that spoke today, and I have to say that I'm happy with both presentations from both sides. And I'm willing to listen, and I'm hope that whatever I've said today, that may be something that may be considered. I'm not 100% sure, but me personally, I don't know that I see us making a decision over a name this evening, but I could be mistaken. Mr. Duncan.
Well, I'd first like to thank everybody for your respectful exchange of ideas. I mean, you know, this, for some people, this is a very important decision. It's certainly we've received more visitors to our board meetings than we're accustomed to. You know, I'd like to invite you all to come back, and we're discussing budgets, we're discussing things that are going to have more of an effect on our students' lives. Please do. Please continue to show up. I think I made it clear, you know, I'd like to get away from the warlike imagery. I think we've seen just recently, you know, images, they can cause a lot of damage. They can hurt. I think we're seeing something, recent tragedy in South Carolina. I'm not trying to compare these two issues, but the imagery of the Confederate flag, what it means to some.
The Virginia battle flag, let's be clear.
The Virginia battle flag.
It's a Virginia battle flag.
This is
Thank you.
Board meeting.
Yeah, but it is a board meeting, so please, you know, it hurts. It affects people different. Okay, so I can't speak for the Native American people. I'm not Native American. It's not my background. If they tell me this is offensive to them, I would agree with them. I would like to give this group, we have professional educators in this group, the opportunity before we vote to discuss this, to present to our students. There must have been some misunderstanding or break in communication. I believe no reason to rush. Take this opportunity to allow those that would like to make a presentation to our students to make that presentation to our students. I think it's important that we make an educated decision. You know, and I suggest we hold off to give you this opportunity, and then we move forward. I think that, you know, eventually we'll be able to come to this decision with everyone having been fully educated on the issue.
I've been listening to everybody speak about this for the past almost year now. respecting everybody's opinions on what's been going on. We've listened to the people here. Month after month on a lot of the, what do we call it, respecting the Indian culture and everything involved with the mascot. I was the one who voted to get rid of the Indian mascot. I think that wasn't right, and I'm still abide by that motion. How it's hurting the people. So at this time, either we can put this off more time, more education for the students and the community. We can bring it back maybe September, October. I'm not exactly sure what of the board, what they want to do with this at this time. But if the board wants to vote on it, I can vote on it this evening as well, and vote how I feel it should go. But at this time, I'll listen to the other two people.
We started listening to this coalition present to us in August. I believe at a school board meeting, but also in the community, at the Boy Scout Hall, and at meetings in Crockett. There was a Crockett Improvement Association meeting where Mala came and spoke. I am the mother of an alumni at John Sweat, a wife of one, a daughter-in-law, a sister-in-law. So I was getting feedback I was getting torn from both directions. However, the reason I voted with the rest of the board to eliminate the Indian was because people's feelings were being hurt. And it was pointed out to me, and I do not want to perpetuate any kind of ill feeling towards people or any kind of uncomfort by people. I also don't want to disrespect any animals either. But coming back to the very night that we voted against it, we had asked the previous meeting our student representative, who sat right there in that chair, to go back to the student body and poll them and see how they felt about the Indian mascot. When he came the next month, the night that we voted to end the mascot issue, or end the Indian mascot, he said the students voted to keep the mascot, the Indian mascot. And after listening again to the coalition, and there was no one here that night from the public, except, I think actually there were two people from the public that spoke about keeping it. But the hurtfulness that had been imposed on this particular group of people was more than I could, more than I wanted to have any kind of responsibility towards. I felt badly after that vote, though, because we asked a student to poll his fellow students, and then we ignored what they said. So I had very mixed feelings about my vote, and I did share that with the rest of the board and with members of the coalition. I think the whole process, even though there's been hundreds of hours on both sides, especially probably the coalition, but there's been hundreds of hours of our time, and also the students' time, and our principal at the high school's time, and the committee, the public committee. And I don't think it's been wasted. I mean, if anybody wants to say, well, look, you just wasted our time. And the votes from the public, I don't believe it's been wasted. I think dialogue is very good. No. And like other members have said, I respect everybody's opinion. Just, if I don't agree with you, that's okay. That's fine, and vice versa. But I do believe, and even one of the coalition members stated a couple of meetings ago, that this coalition person thought that our process had been rushed. And I agree with that. I think that we put out poll boxes for people to put their opinion in stores and around towns.